Hello walkers, we're here, Santa Cruz, the beautiful Isle of La Palma. Temperature today heading up to 25 degrees. If you'd like to learn about the French pirate Leclerc, often known as Pegleg, if you'd like to see a replica of Columbus's famous ship, if you'd like to learn about the volcanic eruption that happened here just last year and its effects, then stay with us all the way to the end. It's a beautiful island, it's small, but it's big in charm, it's big in character. I think you're really going to like it. So La Palma is known as La Isla Bonita, the beautiful island. You're going to see why. And the statue of the dwarf just ahead of us with the Napoleon hat. This is important because every 5 years there is a big festival here. It's the Descent of the Virgin of the Snows. And as part of that, there is the Dance of the Dwarfs. The event goes back to the 1800s, or some say it goes back even to the 1400s. And as part of the event, what happens is that participants walk into the side of a small tent. They're all dressed as bishops. And for some reason, they all emerge as dwarves. But here, in front of us now, is the Naval Museum. And the galleon, although it looks like wood, it's concrete, would you believe? Well, nicely painted. And the galleon it's a 15th century Caval, but it is in fact also Christopher Columbus's famous Santa Maria. Well, it's a replica, isn't it? You know, it's not the real thing. Concrete, not always brilliant for sailing around the seas. Santa Maria was, of course, one of two of Columbus's famous ships. Santa Maria and the Eric Bristow. And you look up just behind it, up there, we're not going up there today. There's the remains of a castle. You can get a little toy train that can take you up there. That's quite pretty. You get a nice view from up there. But I thought we were going to stay down here today because the town is looking especially nice. And we've got a few things to talk about here, a few things to say about the town. So the island, first of all, again, the beautiful Isle. So it's 133 kilometers from Tenerife. Now when you travel around the Canaries, it can get a little bit confusing naming wise. So here, for instance, I'm in Santa Cruz, La Palma. Of course, if you were in Tenerife, their capital is also called Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, by the way, means Holy Cross. La Palma too, we can get quite confused with that, can't we? We've got Palma in Mallorca, and we got Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. But you know what? You get used to it. So this island, I would say, is the most northwesterly of the Canary Islands. And it's an island of great contrasts. So for instance, in the winter months, where you could experience snow right up on the highest mountain on some days, and then just 2 hours later, you'd be down on the front, you could be swimming in warm waters. So it's the greenest island in the whole of the Canaries. And it was declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. There's a lot of protected natural spaces here. And one of the big national parks here is the Caldera de Tabaruriente, I think that's how you say it, National Park. So Caldera, you might hear that word now and again, especially if you're going around volcanic islands such as these, caldera. It comes from a Spanish word for cauldron or pot. So it describes the big hole that's left after a volcano erupts. Now, just look in the background there. See the mountains rising in the distance. So the ship that we saw back there, it's a replica of the Santa Maria. Its actual name, though, is the Ship of the Virgin, Barco de la Virgin. And when it was built, it was sort of named after the island's patroness, which is the Virgin of the Snows. And it's a location, too, that you're going to find quite a lot of local celebrations happen around. As you can see, this is a very pretty town. Got some music coming up, so I'm just going to be quiet through this, just in case I need to cut any of this. So I'm going to leave you to just enjoy the spectacle and the aural glory of Santa Cruz. Well, there's a brief pause. Keep a lookout on the balconies. Balconies are very famous here. And we're going to show you some of the most famous. If you've seen any photographs of the island, you're going to have seen pictures of these quite incredible balconies. They're on the front, on the seafront, but we will have a look at those, so stay tuned. If you need to go to the loo, press the pause button, or, of course, you can just cross your legs, grit your teeth, and hang on for dear life. It's good practice, by the way, as you get older. Got to strengthen those perineum muscles. What a lovely view on a lovely cobbled street. Two things you may not know about La Palma, of course, any well-informed visitor should know. First, it is in fact the home of the custard cream, often enjoyed by British consumers. Custard creams were first found here, actually shortly after the founding of the port here, and they continue to be mined. There is concern that supplies may dry up, but they continue to look around the islands, hoping to find new veins of custard creams. Briefly, there was a fancy for something very similar, the chocolate bourbon. However, the veins for chocolate bourbon died out very quickly, which is handy because they weren't as popular. And what makes La Palma so lush and green, you may ask? Especially if it's so warm right now, 25 degrees. I think I said that before. So perhaps not that rainy. Well, a little bit like Madeira. So tall, 8,000 feet. You get a lot of cloud cover on the top. And of course what that means is you get a lot of moisture appearing on the trees and the forests and the greenery up above. And that gets filtered down the slopes, down to the land below.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Mira, eso me pasó la semana pasada. Y empezando que era
yeah. There we go, look at that.
So while there's a lull in the music, I'll take you onto the seafront. I did promise you some balconies, so let's have some balconies, shall we? Some top balcony action. And here they are in all their glory. So again, very traditional. It's one of the things that the island is well known for. As you look at the balconies, have a look, you'll notice that on all these balconies here, there's a part of the balconies that is closed in. Can you guess what that's for? Well, the toilets. So they're making extra use of that extra space, a little bit of outdoor plumbing. The reminder, I guess, of, I suppose, in the UK, seeing a lot of new buildings going up now, but they've all got little balconies on the outside to allow people to have a smoke. But obviously sometimes buildings are put up with not very much storage space inside. And what tends to happen is the balconies can look very picturesque. But actually in use, people find that they need somewhere to put their hoover, dustpan and brush, spare carpets, maybe even occasional toilet, and they end up going on the outside on the balconies. So don't always get used for the original intent. So because we've still got the strains of Hello Dolly in the background, I'm not going to give you too much information at the moment, again, just in case end up having to replace the audio on this bit. So I think we're far enough away, hopefully. YouTube won't pick up the music. So Santa Cruz itself then was founded in 1493, I believe. And so the first grapevines arrived here in the port here. And of course this is now where the produce of those grapevines now departs the island. So famous for Canarian wines. Something interesting happened then in 1553. I mentioned famous French pirate Leclerc, often known as Pegleg. So it was quite interesting. He was a very brave old soul. He would be the first to board ship, to enter the fray. I guess because of this interesting habit of his, he ended up losing a leg, hence he was called Peg Leg. But he still directed the battles, he still continued. As well as sacking here, somewhere else rather famous. So Santiago de Cuba. So he ransacked that city so devastatingly that in fact the city never recovered, and Havana took over as the capital. So if you wonder why Havana is the capital of Cuba, or maybe you've never thought about it, that's the reason why. It's old Peg Leg. Does anyone need a belt?
Genau.
So I guess it's very hard to talk about the island without mentioning a volcanic eruption. So the island, like all the Canary Islands, are products of volcanic activity. And Palma, along with Tenerife, actually, I don't know if you realise that, it's actually the most volcanically active of the islands. And it was formed between sort of, let me think, 3 to 4 million years ago. Well, actually, I'm just going to take you up here a little, because I want to take you up to the market. Let's have a look at that first. Now the island itself is quite high, it's nearly like 8,000 feet high. But of course it's what's under the water, we don't often take that into consideration, because the waters around this part of the world are like 4 kilometers deep, can you imagine? 4 kilometers deep, it's quite a lot. And so actually, if you say the height really of the island starts at the seabed, then you've got to add 4,000 meters to then the 8,000 feet that we see above the waterline. Tell you what, it's nice and cool in here. Did I mention it's getting up to 25 outside? I probably did, didn't I? This is the reason, of course, why people come in droves to these islands around Christmas time. Generally, well, it's consistently warm. Fresh fish over there. Anyone want a marrow? Do people still eat marrow? I know people grow marrows, and you see it on programs on TV, don't you? Someone's grown the world's biggest marrow. Does anyone eat it anymore? Ah, look over there. Little train, lots of little kiddies. Very sweet. Of course, they probably don't realise they're just being taken off to the salt mines. But let's not tell them, shall we? let them enjoy their day. A little song, a little clapping hands, while they still can clap, while they don't have salt calluses on their palms and their fingertips. We're not going down the street, but it's a pleasant little number, isn't it? So, seafront. There's a big whale leaping up out of the sand. It's not real. Just in case anyone likes to write in. Don't worry. And just like to point out this little shop here. Not just its balconies, but lovely old typeface there. If you watch some of my videos, you know you want to encourage the use of good typefaces because they do actually make a city. You can take what is a quite horrendous shop and make it into something lovely by just having a proportional typeface. That's the problem with having background in design. Everything gets filtered through that. Plaza de España. And above, it's a library, municipal library. So talking about the volcanic eruption then, because I know that's probably what you want to hear about. So there have been 8 great eruptions, and all of which have occurred on what is called the Cumbre Vieja, or Vieja, which means the old summit. And the 2021 eruption, it lasted from 19th of September to the 13th of December. And it's kind of the first volcanic eruption on the island since Tenaguilla in 1971. But at 85 days, it's also the longest known eruption of a volcano on La Palma. So during the eruption, 7,000 people had to be evacuated. And the lava flow covered 1,000 hectares. Now it's interesting when you read things like that, isn't it? 1,000 hectares. Does anyone know what a hectare is? Can you picture it? Okay, so a hectare is actually 10,000 square meters. And I guess if you think of a field, 100 meters in one direction, 100 meters in the other, then that area is 10,000 square meters or 1 hectare. So the lava covered 1,000 of those. At its widest point, it was about 3.5 kilometers wide, the lava flow, and it flowed down about, well, just over 6 kilometers down to the sea. Unfortunately, more than 3,000 buildings were destroyed. But, according to my secret sources, only 1 person lost their life, apparently, which is pretty amazing. There's one town, Torque, was completely destroyed, unfortunately. It's been probably one of the most damaging volcanic eruptions since records began. So on the island here, probably the damage is around about 850 million euros. Strangely, of course, though, human fascination with destruction, etc., has meant there's been a real upswing in tourism.
Mira, mañana no va.
So in fact the tours of the volcanic areas are a real highlight at the minute, and they're generating much needed income for the islands. I think you can get on a tour, probably take you, or what is it, 30 euros each, and you get up to see where some of the houses were completely covered. Actually, just walk up this way a sec. You get to see too where they've had to carve new roads through the volcanic lava. It is one of the perils of living on a chain of volcanoes. Again, luckily, only one person lost their life, as far as I know. And even that, perhaps we can say, is too much. So the island, I think, was quite fortunate. If you come here by ship, you can get a bus in here, and there are tours around the island, I'm sure. And again, obviously, if you do want to go and see the lava flows, etc., then of course that's your best way to do it. It's the quickest way. But if you just want to spend a day in a rather gorgeous little town, Santa Cruz, it's just a kilometre's walk from the cruise terminal. You just follow, I think it's the blue line, that will lead you straight into the heart of the city. This is where I wanted to take us up. We're ending out back at Plaza de España. I just wanted you to see the balcony here. I want you to see the woodwork on the roof above us. So those little details that get missed quite easily. That's all rather beautiful, isn't it? Again, more intricate balconies. Now, when this gets released, I don't know if our walk through La Laguna on Tenerife will be up. But again, we talk a little bit again about the local Canarian style. And these balconies feature there too. If it is up, La Laguna, make sure you watch that one next. It's really lovely. Historical town. This is the old capital of Tenerife, and it's a 30-minute tram ride up from Santa Cruz. Again, even if you're just there for a day on a cruise, you really owe it to yourself. By all means, have a walk around Santa Cruz itself, but it's just very easy. Just find yourself on a tram. You get a ticket from a machine. It's about 30-35 minutes up. And again, if it's a really hot day, it's quite nice because it's quite pleasant up there. It's over 500 meters higher, so it's a bit cooler. And it's the old historical centre, cultural centre, and it really is fabulous. And if you have seen that video, if it is up, I just want you to know that my jaws are fine, thank you. If you want to know what that means, you're going to have to watch that video, aren't you? The statue here, famous local poet. Felix Francisco Casanova. If you do get a chance to come here, do come here. Especially on a day like today. Palm trees, towering hills in the background, beautiful light, and all the coloured walls. And you want to get here, of course, just in case Amazon decides one day to bulldoze the island and build a distribution warehouse here. That would be a shame, wouldn't that, really? Not that I have any inside information at all. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen, do you, really? So, when you get the opportunity to step out of perhaps what's comfortable, what's normal, and try something a little different, just take that opportunity, no matter how small. Even if it's just wearing a different hat for the day. Perhaps you want to go down the high street looking like Carmen Miranda, with some fruit on your head. You know what? You'll remember it. In fact, if I see you, I'll remember it. Nice local places to stop, have coffee, or café con leche. And so I thought I'd leave you. I know, no, don't panic. We will see each other again, and very soon too. You know, you're lucky. We've got like 350 videos on the channel. Not all of them do we talk over. It's a recent thing that we've been doing. We're still going to keep natural sight and sound walks, but it's nice to give you a bit more information, isn't it, really? And so, for now, I'm going to leave you here, say fond farewell. I'm going to have a coffee. I'm going to sit out of the sun. Don't worry, I am taking good care of my skin. I'm lathering up the sun cream. I'll probably sit in the shade and maybe just have my feet in the sun for a little bit. You know what it's like walking around. You don't want white feet, do you really? And so until the next time, you've been absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.